breaking my heart. I just didn't ever expect anything like that to happen here in Uvalde.
This morning, a small Texas community is shattered after a shooting at an elementary school that killed at least 19 students, 2 teachers, and the shooter's grandmother. State public safety officials say that all of those killed in that elementary school were in one classroom. Good morning, and thanks so much for joining us here on Up with Krim. I'm Channing Curtis.
And I'm Tim Pham. This is the deadliest school shooting in America in a decade, something we haven't seen since Sandy Hook in 2012. The shooting took place around noon yesterday at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas, which is about 80 miles west of San Antonio. It was a long night for parents and families. Many waited into the early hours to be reunited with their children. People who live in the small town are still trying to comprehend the extent of this tragedy.
My heart is broken for the parents here in Uvalde. It's never thought something like this would happen in a small town and friendly as Uvalde, where we know each other, and it's been a very, very bad tragic here.
It has.
Law enforcement says the gunman, who was wearing body armor, entered the school with a handgun and possibly a rifle.
And at this point, the investigation is leading to tell us that the suspect did act alone during this heinous crime.
He was later shot and killed by police. Now, 2 officers were wounded while exchanging gunfire with the shooter, but they will be okay. Investigators say the suspect also shot his grandmother earlier in the day. The Uvalde School District had just 2 days left in the school year. School leaders say the rest of the year has been canceled.
During a press conference yesterday, the school superintendent of the Uvalde School District asked people around the nation to pray for their community. Take a listen.
Again, my heart was broken today. We're a small community, and we'll need your prayers to get us through this. Thank you.
And President Biden addressed the nation just hours after that shooting.
That's right. He called on lawmakers to take action in order to prevent future shootings from happening.
Risks every place in the country, risks in businesses, risks in every place you go, whether it's to church on Sunday or whether it's to the mall on Saturday or whether your kid goes to school.
Now, while we're continuing to track this shooting this morning, a new FBI report finds active shooter attacks are on the rise, with 61 incidents last year. That's up more than 50% from 2020 and up nearly 100% over the last 4 years. Now, the new report shows active shooter incidents span 30 states. 12 of the incidents were considered mass killings, including last year's supermarket attack in Boulder, Colorado, that killed 10 people. Now, here in Washington state, several gun control measures have already been signed into law.
Back in March, Governor Jay Inslee signed 3 new gun bills into law. Starting in July, no one will be able to purchase magazines that hold more than 10 rounds. Second, it will not be allowed to openly carry firearms at school board or city council meetings or at election offices. And making the homemade so-called ghost guns will be banned. Governor Inslee is also among the several local leaders reacting to the shooting this morning.
So this morning, Krim 2's Nicole Hernandez joins us live from the newsroom to break down some of their responses. Good morning, Nicole.
Good morning, Channing. Tim, people here locally are sounding off online after yesterday's shooting. Washington Governor Jay Inslee actually tweeted yesterday. Jay Inslee, he said this right here: "This cannot be what normal looks like in America. Trudy and I are devastated with the news of yet another violent tragedy. Our hearts are with the victims' families and the community of Uvalde, Texas." Well, let's take a look at another tweet here. This one from Washington Senator Patty Murray. She says, "My thoughts are with the families of those lost in Texas." She goes on to say, "How many more lives have to be lost before Republicans wake up to what the majority of Americans have known for years? Gun safety laws save lives." Next tweet here, Washington's congressional leaders are also offering their support to the Uvalde community. Congresswoman Kathy McMorris Rogers posted a series of tweets about the shooting. She says her heart is with the families and the entire community. She adds schools must be a safe place for learning and for children to reach their full potential. And lastly here, Idaho Governor Brad Little tweeted this yesterday evening. He says, quote, "Our country is grieving the victims of today's horrific school shooting in Texas. As a grandpa of school-aged children, this news is heartbreaking. The families and all those affected will be strengthened by our prayers as they cope with this awful tragedy." Now, President Biden says flags should be flown at half staff through this Saturday, the 28th. In the newsroom, Nicole Hernandez, Krim 2 News.
And National Youth Poet Amanda Gorman is also putting a spotlight on gun violence after the shooting.
Now, you might remember her from President Biden's inauguration last year when she actually read one of her poems. Now, on Twitter, Gorman put out this short poem. It reads, "School scared to death. The truth is, one education under desk, stooped low from bullets that plunge when we ask where our children shall live and how and if." She also went on to say, quote, "What might be if we only tried? What might we become if only we'd listen?"
We'll have much more on this tragedy from Texas in our next half hour. For the most up-to-date information on the Robb Elementary School shooting, you can visit our website, krem.com.
Turning now to a look at weather outside on this Wednesday morning, where it is overcast across the inland Northwest. In some areas, getting some very light showers. You might be noticing some wet ground outside your front door for this morning. It is just 52 degrees in Spokane. Cloudy skies between Spokane and, as you see in the background shot, of Coeur d'Alene, but bright enough that you can definitely be on your way this morning. 52 is actually decently mild for the morning hours, even as of 6 a.m. But there are some very light rain showers. It's kind of here or there across the region. You see that not exactly hitting Coeur d'Alene exactly. Same story out of Spokane, but the atmosphere has enough moisture that some light showers, some drizzle, some mist have been across the area throughout the morning. But as mentioned, temperature-wise, decently mild, a lot of low 50s across the region with some of the warm spots in southeastern Washington. You see 59 in Walla Walla, 58 in Pomeroy, even as warm as 60 right now in Lewiston. But conditions will stay cloudy, overcast, or mostly cloudy throughout the day today. Maybe close to 70 degrees, but I can guarantee it at least one day before we get to the upcoming weekend.
It's time now for your morning rush. More news in less time. A student at Sunset Elementary School in Airway Heights reportedly brought a gun in their backpack yesterday. According to a letter sent to parents, the student reportedly showed the gun to several other students. Two students reportedly then told an adult about the weapon, and staff was then able to secure the gun. No students were injured.
An extradition hearing is scheduled for the man accused of killing his ex-girlfriend in Moses Lake. Juan Gastelum will be in an Oregon courtroom today facing an extradition order issued by Governor Jay Inslee. Gastelum is accused of killing Yanira Cedillos. She was killed in a remote area of Walla Walla County. Once extradited, he will face murder charges in Grant County.
As we mark 2 years since the murder of George Floyd, President Biden plans to sign an executive order reforming police practices. This order will create a national registry of officers fired for misconduct. It will also encourage state and local police to tighten restrictions on chokeholds and no-knock warrants, as well as restrict the transfer of military equipment to law enforcement agencies.
Idaho Fish and Game says there are a growing number of avian flu cases among wild birds. The department says the birds across the state are getting infected, but they cannot respond to every case of infected wild birds. They are asking people to report any sick or dead wild birds on their website. They're also asking the public to leave any sick birds alone. And that's a look at your morning rush.
They just offer a very good environment for you to just learn.
Even top-notch roller coaster experts aren't immune from the national labor shortage. How one local company is shaking things up to bring in new applicants.
Plus, salute to service. This morning, we continue our week-long series on the Inland Northwest Honor Flight.
And here's the one thing you need to know about today's weather. While it will be cloudy and maybe even a little bit showery for this morning, temperatures will still be mild today and even warmer yet tomorrow.
All right, here's a live look outside. We say good morning to you, Inland Northwest. Happy Wednesday. Thanks for starting your morning with us here on Up with Krem. Let us know where you're watching from.